So I know it's variable out there in terms of where is being affected by the rain at present. If you are suffering any flooding, any localised flooding, let us know, please. Text us in 083 3333 975. You can call Audrey on 051 846 123. Last couple of minutes if you want to text in the name of that movie, the Disney movie, when that song is from. Text us in 083 3333 975. Lots of reaction regarding the Christmas decorations and Christmas shopping. Damien, regarding Christmas shopping, if you wait until Christmas Eve, you won't even make it across the bridge on Christmas morning at 6 a.m. Damien, good morning. Listening to Johnny Cluno earlier on, his whole philosophy and approach seems to be that if anyone advances themselves through hard work and education, paying their taxes, they're somehow guilty of something or other. If they live in a nice home, drive a nice car, travel abroad, earn a well-deserved holiday. Perhaps if he tried to become an elected representative himself and did something positive rather than being the internal hurler on the ditch. Johnny is involved with People Before Profit. Damien, I live in Kill Village. I have my tree up and the outdoor lights are up and on. My little girl couldn't wait. Bought plenty of happiness and joy here. There's a lot of miserable stuff going on in the world, so it's a good time to put your lights up. Damien, I've seen Christmas decorations and lights in a window on Halloween night. I thought I was seeing things. Now that's a bit early, all right. Other people are texting in about the whole issue of that and what time to put them up and when they should put them up. If anybody from the Liverpool Supporters Club wants to give us a call, a text in. Damien, just wondering, is there a Liverpool Supporters Club in Waterford? I can't find out any information about the same. I'd love to bring my young lad over to a match. He's a nuts Liverpool fan. He deserves it at some stage. He's a great lad, but I wouldn't have a hope of getting a ticket without joining the Supporters Club, and I really would want to join the Supporters Club. I'd love to be able to tell him at Christmas. He's doing his junior cert this year. So we have that person's name. We're not going to read out your name on air. You asked me not to. But if anybody from the Liverpool Supporters Club wants to text us in or to give Audrey a call on 051 846 123. The Waterford County Board says regarding money for the redevelopment of Welch Park, that's applied for under a different scheme. Waterford plus two other counties applied for funding in conjunction with Croke Park, and a funding announcement is expected in early December. So that is the situation regarding that. People are still calling in also about the mental health issues, and I suppose the Department of Psychiatric ward in Waterford. A man has phoned in despair to say his daughter has mental health problems, but she was discharged from UHW last night. She's on the street with no money and nowhere to go. The Gardaí picked her up and brought her to Wexford General, where she is at the moment. He called the hospital to speak to a consultant, but he hasn't returned his call yet. Very difficult situation. We'll give that man a call and see if he'll come on the air to talk to us about the situation. My heart goes out to you, and I hope we can get something sorted on that. Now, an American university's proposal to locate its European campus in Dungarvan isn't going to go ahead, according to Waterford City and County Council. Mercyhurst University in Erie in Pennsylvania had signed a memorandum of understanding 2 years ago, along with the local authority, allowing them to conduct a feasibility study in the future. Declan Clune is on the line, councillor in Waterford. Declan, good morning. Good, thank you. Declan, remind us what Mercyhurst University is. It's a college in Pennsylvania, but they were looking at and had established a presence in Waterford. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Damien. Basically, up to 2 years ago, they entered into a memorandum of understanding with the council to explore the development of a 2.9-acre site in Dungarvan to have a kind of a permanent base there for the college. Seemed to go a little bit quiet there recently, so I asked the CEO about it last week, and I was happy enough that he was able to say that there was students still coming over from Mercyhurst and in Dungarvan, but I suppose there isn't as much buoyancy as there was, so I suppose it'd be worse if there wasn't anybody coming, but the fact they're still coming, I suppose, gives a little bit of hope for the future. It'd be worse, like I said, if there was no interaction, no communication, like the whole campus element seems to have been kind of delayed for the moment, but I understand that there is a possibility of happening in future. And
is there how many students come over? Do we know during a year?
I think it varies. I can think there can be anywhere up to 25 or 30 students per year. Over from Mercyhurst in Pennsylvania. So, like I said, plus they have a biannual conference in Dungarvan as well, whereas you would see a lot of the various security elements from around the world meeting in Dungarvan Castle to discuss, I suppose, developments and, get our plans for, I suppose, defence, etc. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the whole time there is kind of stuff happening. It's just not happening as quick as we were led to believe it would there a number of years ago.
Well, let's be more specific on it. Like the university, as you say, it intended establishing a campus on nearly a 3-acre site at Shandon. John Deise, Fine Gael TD, a Mercyhurst graduate, long supported this idea and pushed it very strongly. And you asked at the council last week, has the idea completely evaporated, just like John Deise, or is it still on the horizon? And the Chief Executive, Michael Walsh, said the project that was envisioned at that time, a couple of years ago, is not going to happen. That's the Owen Dalton's quotes directly in the Munster Express. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, like I said, the students are still coming, but at this moment in time, the plans for the campus have been shelved. But, they haven't been completely removed. There is a possibility of it happening in the future, is the information I've received. But just at this moment in time, like Mercyhurst, if you go onto their website, they're still advertising the opportunity to go study in Waterford, in Dungarvan. So, that's positive. If they had removed everything and they hadn't intended sending anybody, the link is still there, I think, which is the important part. If there was no link, you'd say you could forget about it. But, I suspect that something may happen in medium to long term, but certainly not in the short term.
You had a cut off Deputy Deise in making and asking your question.
I wouldn't call it a cut. I'd call it more a statement of fact, you know what I mean? Because Deputy Deise, and nothing personal with anybody or anything like that, but, he has...
It sounds personal.
...in the area. Not at all. No, I wouldn't get personal in politics, Damien, you know me.
So your understanding is, and you haven't spoken to Deputy Deise about this, your understanding is that there's still no immediate project on the horizon, but there are some connections persisting, and we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Do you think anything will happen with it?
Well, you'd hope it would, but sorry, just getting back to your point about Deputy Deise, again, I haven't spoken to him, but like I said, I think in the future something may happen. Like I said, I think it's very, very important that the link is still there in terms of, getting students over, having to still advertise on their website. So, if they didn't have the interest, they'd just be after pulling it. It's simple as that. So the fact that it's still there, I think, is important, but we'll have to see what the future holds. But I would be hopeful of something in the future possibly happening there,
Declan Clune, Sinn Féin councillor, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
We'll do in the rain. Thanks, Declan. Mind yourself. We have a winner. Lisa Ryan from Dunhill is the winner of the family pass for the Panto competition day. Lisa Ryan from Dunhill is the winner today. Caroline Burke has texted in, and a special hello to her mother this morning, who was listening to her talking on the radio about the Christmas decorations. Damien, I took my tree lights and my indoor lights up, took them out yesterday just to make sure that they're still working. Nothing worse than plugging in your lights and find that they're not working. Always test them a few days. Make sure before you plan to get cracking and decorating your home. I normally start around the week after my birthday, December the 7th. And that is from Carol. And that's her name, Carol. Now, thank you everybody who did text in. Frozen is the answer to the question, obviously. Frozen. So thank you everybody for texting in on that. Damien, given the weather alert for heavy rain today, I had to make an early run to Cork yesterday, driving in heavy rain through Dungarvan and Youghal. The amount of cars overtaking me, and I was close to the speed limit, was crazy, he said. So this texter is basically saying some cars overtook in prestigious brands of vehicles. That's from John. You're right, John, and with the weather, please slow down, and very, very importantly, visibility in weather like this. Make sure you have your lights on. I love these type of texts come in. Damien, is WLR now renamed as Sinn Féin FM? Sometimes you get given out that we've too many Fine Gael people on. Sometimes you give out to Fianna Fáilers on, Labour on, you've got Sinn Féin on, you've got Independents on. It'd make you laugh, Michael, wouldn't it? I tell you it would. It's so funny. And if they're all given out about you, then it must be something good on. The reason we had a discussion this morning with Declan Clune is because he was the person that raised it regarding Mercyhurst, and it was an item we were due to cover yesterday, but time came against us. So we have items on depending on different matters. We make editorial judgments, and we have absolutely no preference one way or the other regarding any of the parties. And people may know me as well. I'll give them all a hard time if I have to give them a hard time, and that's the way it goes. Michael Drone, I'm not going to give you a hard time this morning.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
You're with the COPD support group. We'll talk about COPD Support Day in a minute because it's World COPD Day. Tell me a little bit about yourself. You're one of only 3 families that were living on Georgia Street. Georgia Street in Waterford
Georgia
City.
Street for 28 years. So we were central to everything. And
who are the other 2 families?
The other 2 families were Fields, the tobacconists, for those that remember, and Dunphy's newsagents. So we were the only 3 families. We had everything on the street. We had the presbyteries for churches. We had insurance companies. We had Johnny Hearns. We had Goffs. We had two butchers, Phelan's and Quinlan's. So we had everything you could ask for on the one street.
Amazing growing up in an environment like that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it lovely, was it?
Absolutely, yeah. We walked to school then up to Patrick Street to the Deise up there, and I ended up going to the Deise College then as well.
And you moved out then to Butlerstown, was it?
Yeah, got married to a girl. I'm originally from Butlerstown, so we moved out to Kilmacow then when we got married. I married a girl from Kilmacow, and we're living out there now.
Lovely. What's her name? 7
children. Lily is her name.
Go on. Mention the 7 children. Go on, you might as well. Don't leave anybody out now.
We have Elizabeth, and we have Stephen, who's in Limerick. Then we have Paul, we have Rebecca, we have Michelle, we have Jason, and we have Marcus.
Lovely. And what is COPD?
COPD is a disease that affects the lungs. It's different from a lot of the other diseases in that because you have COPD, your lungs actually are damaged, and that damage can never be repaired. And over time, it gradually gets worse. Some people end up on oxygen, and some people even end up on respiratory machine.
How do you get COPD?
COPD can be caused by smoking during your life, although it's not always the case. People with COPD mightn't have ever smoked, but they might get heart disease and things like that. People that worked in factories, they might have got environmental toxins and fumes into their lungs through working in chemical factories. Farmers that worked that had outhouses and sheds that were dusty, all that dust got into their lungs.
Can pigeon fanciers get it sometimes as well, can they? Or is that
depends on what dust is there and all that. So anything that you're inhaling could affect your lungs, and you can get COPD on it. People with asthma and bronchitis when they were small, asthma usually goes in 7 cycles, and over time you may get rid of it, but an awful lot of the time you get it back in later life as well. So it's a disease that affects your lungs.
How long have you had it yourself, or how did you get it?
I was a very bad asthmatic as a child, nearly died with it. At 14 I was only 4 stone 8. I got heart failure in 92. My heart was only 33% functional, and in 2006 I got COPD. So the thing about COPD, that people get a lot of other comorbidities, as they call them as well. They can get heart failure, they can get osteoporosis, sleep apnea. A lot of people get diabetes, and a lot of people are depressed because they're not able to do the things that they did years ago. And it's not from getting old, it's just they find it hard to walk. Some people find it hard to talk when they have COPD. They find it hard to do just the ordinary household chores. They find it hard when they're out walking to get up a hill or to get up the stairs in their houses. So
it's really it's a tough old disease.
Some people have a cough, a constant cough, and when they're out, whether it's at the movies or out for a meal or whatever, and they're constantly coughing, they feel everyone is looking at them, and it prevents them from going out again. And some people become housebound. But you can get so tired with it, you don't have energy. Some mornings you can wake up, you're after having a good night's sleep, and you'd say, grand day ahead of you, but you get up absolutely with no energy and tired out, and you have to face a whole day. And
is there any as you say, so you can go on oxygen maybe, but is there anything you take for it? Is there any cure for it? Is there anything on the horizon?
What the best thing is if you can change your lifestyle and first of all give up smoking. But if you feel that you constantly have phlegm and you're constantly breathless and no energy, you might need to get your lungs checked out. Go to your GP. There's a simple thing where you just blow into a little tube that tells you how well your lungs are working, and something simple like an inhaler can be a huge benefit. Exercise, the most important thing when you have COPD is to keep active. And if you can keep active and keep positive, it's a great help to people with COPD.
How are you doing yourself now?
I'm great. I have people coming into me and they say, "Oh, I was told I had stage 3 COPD. Does that mean I have 3 years or 5 years to live?" That's all out the window. It's what you can do for yourself to manage your symptoms, and self-management is huge, and self-confidence is huge, and that's what we do with the support groups. We get people in, we do the exercise, but we always have a chat and a cup of tea afterwards, and people talk about what's bothering them in life at the moment, and we can, talk over it, and
I suppose talking about the physical things that you can do and then the mental things that you can do to help people and social things. Where do you meet?
We meet in the Edmund Rice Centre up in Barrack Street. We meet 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do 2 different exercises both days.
What time do you meet?
We meet from 2 o'clock to 3. Now, tomorrow we're having open day. We'll have 2 nurses, 2 respiratory nurse specialists from University Hospital Waterford. They'll come up, and anyone that feels that they have any lung or breathing problems, all are welcome, and we'd love to see you. So it's on between 2 and 3, and again we'll have a cup of tea and a chat after.
2 and 3 tomorrow at the Edmund Rice Centre in the city, and anybody from the county or South Kilkenny or Wexford wants to get in touch. There is a support group, as you say. You can talk to people. And
yes, yeah. I think we were the 4th support group in Ireland set up. There's now 30 of them. So we've had people coming from Dungarvan, from Kilkenny, and from South Wexford to our group.
And can they contact you through Facebook?
They can, and they can also. My number, if they want to take it down, is 089 4 204 804.
Okay, 089 204 804. Michael Drone, and it's World COPD Day, as you say.
It is, yeah. Everyone knows about heart attacks and heart failure, and everybody knows somebody that has had, but there's as many people nearly have COPD, but not many people know of people with COPD, and yet there's nearly 500,000 reckoned to be in Ireland, and there's only half of them diagnosed.
Wow.
So
somebody texted in, do glass blowers get it? Would some glass blowers, would that have
it depends on if they're inhaling fumes or...
And then obviously it depends maybe on different people. Some people may get it, some people not, even though they're in the same environment.
That's it, yeah. Some people that smoked years ago get it, and others don't. So, and...
Listen, thanks so much for coming into us. Really appreciate it.
Time.
I heard yesterday from somebody, and I don't know if it applies because obviously you're talking about respiratory diseases. Somebody was on about they were phoning in about waiting lists for respiratory complaints, and this is urgent respiratory matters in Waterford in the hospital, and something like a 4-year waiting list.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's so many being diagnosed now, and when they're out there, they want to go on an 8-week programme, which is absolutely brilliant. It's a pulmonary rehab programme, and because of that waiting list, the nurses are actually sending them up to us. So just to get them started. Now, also, what I'd like to mention is people that come up to the support group, we'd get a pharmacist in during the year, and he'll make sure that everyone are taking their inhalers right. He'll tell you what benefit you're on, if you're on tablets, what benefit they're doing, and why you're on them. We'll have a dietitian in. We'll have somebody from the social welfare in. Brilliant. They'll tell you your entitlements. We have a flu nurse coming in 2 weeks' time, and she'll tell you the importance of the flu vaccine. She'll tell you how to avoid the flu, and if you get the flu, what's the best way of handling it. So
Michael Drone, Thank you so much. 089 204 804 COP, World COPD. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. And mind yourself and all the family and the 7 children. God bless them.
Thanks.
Also, if there's anybody from the Villa Soccer Club in Waterford wants to get in touch about grants, please give us a shout. 083 333 975. Now, in a minute, I'm going to be talking to David King about an inspirational book he's written for his. He wrote it for his 5-year-old son who's a type of bone cancer, but for everybody, it's a really lovely book. Damien, did you get clarification from the IDA yesterday regarding the chances of 1,500 jobs coming to Waterford? I did, Paul. Yes, we contacted the IDA. I spoke to one of the regional managers, and the meeting did take place in March, but there's been, let's just say, we haven't heard too much more about it since. So the IDA may be working behind the scenes on that, but we haven't heard any firm proposals about how things are developing in that. Damien, my mother has COPD. It's worsening over time. There's not enough spoken or being done about COPD sufferers or for them. It's a disease that really needs to be spoken about and highlighted by a lot more people, because a lot of people are unaware of the disease and don't know what signs they're looking for. Damien, the News and Star Christmas supplement's €4 every year. It's in the paper. A lot of elderly people look forward to it. Some may not be able to afford the €4. I saw a copy of it yesterday. It's a fabulous production, Darren, and Darren wants to know, what do listeners think about this? It's the first time the News and Star have produced a separate supplement. It's officially been launched tomorrow night. It's €4. Is €4 too much for something like this? There's a massive amount of reading. There's loads of competitions in it. There is loads and loads of prizes, loads of great memorabilia. And obviously newspapers as well have to make money, and they have to make money in these very difficult times for many media organisations. Quick mention tonight as well, a public talk has been given by Martrick Park Hederman, former abbot of Glenstall Abbey, entitled On Faith and Mystery, a New Sense of the Sacred for Today. It's taking place at the main auditorium at WIT's Cork Road campus tonight at 6:30. A special mention to that. And also a special mention for a quiz that's taking place tomorrow night. That's in the Holy Cross Bar and Restaurant, commencing at 8 o'clock, in support of Helen Shanahan. She's one of the many Waterford people that are going to Vietnam, to Operation Walk, it's called. 100 joint replacements to provide education and supervised training to local doctors, nurses and physiotherapists and adult healthcare professionals. Well done to Helen and everybody involved in that. Now we're going to talk to David King. David, good morning.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
Wonderful, thanks. Yourself? You're keeping well. It's going to be an exciting Christmas for you with this book, I think, will it?
I think so, yeah. We've had a very good response to it so far anyway, so we're very, very grateful to everybody for the outpouring of support and all the good wishes. So it's been fantastic, actually. Very overwhelming.
Tell our listeners, tell me, what is this about? How did it come about, David?
So the book is a children's book called But Really Adventures with the Difference, and it's inspired by my 5-year-old son, Adam. Adam has a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta. It's a brittle bone condition, and so Adam is a wheelchair user. Now he can stand and sit and take and walk a little bit, but he's predominantly a wheelchair user. And from the moment he's been born, as I'm sure many children are for all their parents, but like he really has been the light of our lives and a real inspirational child. And he really embodies the idea that life is an adventure, and I guess in the book we wanted to highlight the fact that difference is a part of life, and if life is an adventure, difference is an adventure as well. So I just wanted to try to capture his spirit and that spirit of celebrating difference, which I think is a really important part of our society, an important part of who we are, particularly as Irish people, actually celebrating diversity and difference in our society.
You've got Danny age 10, Katie age 9, Robert age 7. They're all fellow characters in the book, are they?
Yeah. So we tried to capture really like I guess to represent the family, but also they capture the spirit of the story as well. So they're the characters in the book. So I guess the idea behind the book is and it's for all children really, and I think of all ages as well, because. So it's about a little child who has additional needs, and so it looks at his reality, but then it also highlights the fact that he has the same types of hopes and dreams and imagination and excitement as any other child. So Adam, in one of the pages, for example, Adam is using a walking frame and an orthotic chair, which we have at home, and the children are in the hall with him, and he's taking a few steps, and then the idea is, but really what he's doing is he's actually riding a horse into battle, and the chair isn't an orthotic chair to help him stand, it's actually a king's throne and that type of thing. And in one of the pages he's going around in his wheelchair around Youghal actually, and So he's in his wheelchair, but really he imagines himself winning. It's a racing car, and he's winning the Formula One and things like that. So it flips between reality and fantasy, but it just offers all children who have similar experiences, but also children who may never see these things, a window into a world of difference. So some children may never have heard of the idea of hydrotherapy, or may never heard of orthotic shorts or orthotic chairs or orthotic shoes. These have been a part of Adam's existence since he was born, and I think the book offers, in a fun, exciting way, it offers that insight to all children. And also I find as well, what I found personally wonderful is the amount of parents and children who have let me know when they've got the book, that children who have additional needs or who've been to hospital and have highlighted the fact that the book was a real comfort to them and a real comfort to their children as well.
And your wife Fiona, what is? Can you just give me a few examples of the additional needs, the extra needs that Adam has on a daily basis, David?
So, as I said, he's a wheelchair user. Predominantly, so he uses his wheelchair in school and so on. And I guess a lot of the things that are in the book are supports that he's needed over the last 5 years. Now, I'm actually quite grateful to say that some of those supports, since I started writing the book, he actually has graduated beyond them now. But things like, for example, orthotic shoes, an orthotic chair, specialised types of very tight shorts that help to strengthen his stomach, because he would have had a condition called lordosis, which is the softening of the stomach tissue because he wouldn't stand as much as other children. A walking frame, things like that. And then there's some other kind of general ones. So like, as I said, Adam has a brittle bone condition. It's the characteristics of it are that the main symptoms are he's a short stature and he's brittle, fragile bones that fracture easily. So everything that a lot of his treatments are to help strengthen his muscle structure, his bone structure. But a lot of other children would have similar, could have additional needs that don't specifically have that condition, but might require similar treatments. So, for example, on one of the pages, there's a story about him getting hydrotherapy with a physiotherapist, so in the swimming pool splashing about and things like that. But really, he imagines himself rescuing mermaids in an underwater battle and things like that. And yeah, exactly. That's the reaction.
And can I ask you, David? I know you're from Dungarvan originally. You're living down in Killa now, but what do you do for a crust, or why did you like? There's a lot of parents in situations with children with additional needs, and they don't go writing a book. Like to write a book, that's a major thing to do.
Well, you're very kind to say that. Thanks very much. Yes, so I suppose my background is I work in education, and I suppose in terms of one of the reasons I guess in terms of writing the book was, I guess, as I said, I wanted to try to capture Adam's story and share it with the world. But the other reason I think was representation. When I looked at like many parents across the world, we have tons and tons of children's books, and particularly children's picture books in our home. And what I felt was, looking at all of those books, I couldn't see children that looked like or were like my child. And I felt, who was going to write a book about my child or a child like mine? So rather than wait for someone to do it, I wrote one myself.
Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I know. Look, I'll be honest, as I said, the words I've landed on most frequently is overwhelming. I've met so many people, and I've heard responses to so many people all across the world. Like, I mean, I'm just a townie from Dungarvan and a teacher, and like when I get messages and pictures of people reading the book in New Mexico and Alabama and Germany and across the UK, and then of course the unbelievable local support, not just around Cork, but also from my family in Dungarvan and from the county as well, from Waterford. Like, and I would like to take that opportunity to genuinely thank all of the outlets and the fantastic bookstores and shops that have taken on the book, including in Dungarvan, Reader's Choice and David Welch's, the Waterford Book Centre in Waterford City, and then of course Eason's have taken the book nationwide, so it's available in all good Eason stores across the country as well, including Waterford and Dungarvan. So, like, I mean, the outpouring of support it's just
phenomenal.
Overwhelming. It's phenomenal. But I do think as well, Damien, I think it's a sign that, separate from myself and separate from the book, like, I think it's a sign that people want to hear these types of stories. As I said, it's like inclusion and diversity is a really important part of our society, and the type of child, like my child that's represented in the book, is a reflection of a very important part of our society. And I think I'm grateful that people want to hear these types of stories, you know. Yeah,
and the illustrations, Jessie Delacour, they seem lovely, really well done, the illustrations, yeah?
Look, she's a masterful artist, and we worked on them for over a year, and I think that there's actually a lot of nuances in them, and I think there's great scope for parents to talk with their children about what's on the pages, because obviously it's a book that speaks to representation of additional needs, but also we try to capture diversity in as many ways as possible in the book. So if a parent is engaging with the book with their child, you'll notice that there's a huge amount of diversity in terms of characters with different age, different genders, different race, and also different abilities. So if in some of the pages you'll notice that there are elderly people who with additional needs, and there are, in one of the pages, I think there's a kind of middle-aged man and he has a hearing aid. So, for example, we try to capture a good bit of that through the books, and culturally different as well. So there's a few funky characters. I think one nurse that has a half-sleeve tattoo, and there's a guy with a big tattoo in his arm, that type of thing. So we just try to keep it contemporary and to provide as many, I guess, talking points for children, because you know yourself, when my children were young, sometimes they'll catch on the words, sometimes they'll catch on the images, and sometimes they catch on both, depending on their age. But I do feel that the story can be engaged with, thanks to the beautiful illustrations, and because of the message of the story, it can be engaged with at various levels with children of many ages.
Super. It's called But Really, Adventures with a Difference, written by David King, illustrated by Jessie Delacour, and as you say, David, it's in sale in all good bookshops. Listen, continued success. Hello to Adam and to Fiona and all the family, and lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me on, Jamie, and take care. All the best.
One very important message regarding Christmas lights and the like is obviously make sure your lights are safe, make sure that they're working safely, and make sure that there's a lot of safety, because we just don't want any tragedies over Christmas. Mary, have you got the lights up yet?
No, I don't, I'm afraid. It'll be...
Don't be afraid.
It'll be well into December, Damien. My son has a birthday on the 5th of December, so traditionally it's always after that date before we put up the Christmas lights in our house.
What about the lights at the library? Are there any lights up yet?
Lights in the library, no, we're getting them out from the mothballs, the Christmas trees and all the decorations from last year, so probably around the start of December, I think, as well. Yeah.
We'll talk about the library in a second. Firstly, I want to give a little mention as well to a person who phoned into 051846123. Can you ask the council, please, when are they going to fix the lighting on the Cork Road? The lights have been broken for the past year from the RSE up to the Circle K. He says he's been on to the lighting company, who says the council won't give him the OK to fix it. So anybody listening from the council, let us know, please. We'll send you an email about it later. Damien, regarding procedures and waiting lists, I needed a procedure on my shoulder, was told to go on the medical card, as there was a 4.5-year waiting list. €300 later, the job was done through Whitfield. How in heaven's name does a procedure that costs €300 take 4.5 years waiting lists? You're 100% right on that, caller. Special mention to lots of the pupils as well in East Waterford that go over to Ramsgrange Community School. They have a special event on this weekend, Enterprise issue, taking place at Christmas Market, indoor Christmas Market, Sunday the 24th of November. Over 100 exhibitors. I know there's a lot from Cheek Point and Passage and Crook go over to Ramsgrange. Mary Carberry, you are librarian in Carrickferris Library. We're talking about the Irish Book Awards. Carrickferris or Carrickferris?
That's open to interpretation, Damien. I'm a blow-in from another county, so I call it Carrickferris as it's spelled, but I think a lot of the locals call it Carrickferris.
Yeah, I know there's a variety on this, and some people have they don't get het up about it, all right, but they don't mind.
No.
Not really, no.
Probably have to investigate the origins of the name, so that's something for the future, maybe.
A lot of people would know you as well. You used to work in the book centre, is that right?
I did. I worked in the book centre in a former life. I did.
Very good. You've always had a love of books.
I do. I love books and reading, so everything to do with it is right up my street. So the Irish Book Awards happening this evening.
They're on tonight.
That's right. So we're very excited about that. It's kind of a great event in the Irish publishing calendar, and there's 16 categories, I think. So there's every sort of genre and type of books represented. Just a quick little look. The Novel of the Year, there's 6 nominations, including Joseph O'Connor, perennial favourite. Kevin Barry, Nightboat to Tangier. He's going from strength to strength with his writing. Edna O'Brien, still writing away.
Amazing,
and
yeah.
Impressively went to Nigeria to research material for her book Girl, which is based on kidnapping of girls in Nigeria by Boko Haram. So that's a very interesting category. Another favourite is the crime fiction category, which includes nominations from Adrian McKinty, The Chain, which was on a selection in the US as one of their summer books. Twisted by Steve Kavanagh. Tana French, who listeners will probably be familiar with for the recent Dublin Murders series. Yes. So this is a historical novel, The Witch Elm, and it's proving very popular in libraries. We're actually going to add the title to our book club collection for the future.
Yeah, we're going to do, and we'll come to another few categories in a few minutes, we're going to start a book section in January because it's such a popular thing to do, and also there's a book club thing, and we want to encourage people to read, exactly. And there's great selections and variety out there. So people may not be into crime fiction, but they could be into sports biographies.
Exactly.
There's all different genres and all different areas.
Well, that's it, and I think that's the beauty of a book club, that you do read. I mean, you might just like to read crime fiction, and then you'll join a book club, and there might be a suggestion to read maybe whatever, the Booker Prize winner or something completely different. And it can be a challenge, but it can be very rewarding as well. And then to sit down and discuss it, and you might read a book and think, I absolutely did not like that. And then when you come to the discussion and somebody is praising it, and you can kind of see merits that you think, oh yes, actually, that's right. And a lot of our book clubs in the different branches, we would mark the books out of 10. So starting off, somebody might say, oh, well, I was only going to give it 3, but now after our discussion, I'm giving it 6. And we just find that a useful exercise then for, to refer to borrowers coming in if they're asking us to recommend things, and we can say, well, the book club really liked this, they gave it 7 out of 10. So that can be a very interesting thing to do.
Are people reading as much as they were in the past, children in particular?
They are, definitely.
They are.
I mean, we had our Summer Stars programme, which ran until the end of August, and we'd over 2,300 children participated in that throughout the county. So that was very encouraging.
It's a great initiative.
We've just finished our Children's Book Festival programme, which ran across the 12 branches. We'd almost 40 events. We'd author visits, arts and crafts workshops, and class visits to libraries. So that's been very successful. And then during December, we'll be running Family Time at Your Library. So that will run throughout the month, and it'll showcase the variety of things that you can do in the library. So we've access to all our e-resources, e-books and e-audiobooks online are very popular. We've also the e-magazines, which every magazine that's available in the newsagents is available to you free of charge. You can download it onto your laptop or your Kindle.
It's phenomenal how libraries have developed, not just as physical entities, and Carrickfearish, as the prime example, is the most recent one. It's beautiful.
It is.
Really,
it's a
really
fantastic
beautiful
building.
And then those that are not developed as much recently, the range of services, like the idea of take a book out, the fines are gone now.
The fines are gone. Membership is free.
Yeah,
and we've linked up. It's one system now for every library in Ireland. So if I look up a book for Damien Tiernan, I can see the copies of the book in Donegal, in Dublin, in Clare. And I can request a copy for you, and it could come from anywhere to the country. There's deliveries to and from all the library branches twice a week, so you have access to basically the stock all over Ireland, which is just fantastic.
It really is.
People are really appreciating that.
Yeah, and the quality of the books in there, as you say, like you do a very good quality of book, not just like, I'm talking physically, because there would have been times in the past where some of the books would be really tatty, but no, you have a very good high quality threshold, and that shows.
Yeah, there's a good turnover. I mean, we're able to be more selective with our buying because, that sometimes people might want to access an expensive item or something that's very special and that we mightn't have the budget for it. But we can now borrow it from another branch, and maybe kind of use the funds we would have spent on that to add an additional 5 copies of something really popular.
Do you find these initiatives, have they brought more people into the libraries?
Yeah, there's a huge interest in the e-books. People are very impressed with that, and the e-magazines kind of is a well-kept secret, but it's filtering out gradually, and I don't think a lot of people realise that it's available. So I'd encourage everybody, it's, you know, that buys magazines. I know the newsagents won't thank me, especially my former employers, but to inquire about the e-books when you go to the library.
Well, it could. Anybody who goes, has a look, then they might buy a magazine the next week. They might buy one the next month. So it has a knock-on effect. The more people that go. And if anybody out there who's not a member of the library, join your local library.
Oh, definitely.
It's so simple. And as you say, membership is free.
Membership's free. There aren't any fines. You have access to stock all over the country. You probably, if you're looking for the bestsellers, I just see the Aisling books here are on the short list for the popular fiction book of the year. You may be waiting a few weeks. You might be number 150 something on the list, but you will get the book eventually, and there's hundreds of copies available.
And there's other books to read in the meantime.
Exactly, there is.
So lots of great categories there. Who's in for the Sports Award tonight? Because I was in that category once myself for a book on the hurling.
We have there's a good cross section. I see our neighbour from the neighbouring county, Owen Larkin, is included. We've Richie Sadlier, who's his frank account about his battle and his mental health struggles is a very good one. We have about the O'Donovan brothers, Something in the Water by Kieran McCarthy, about the brothers from Skibbereen. There's a book about the Dublin Marathon. Jamie Heaslip, and about that goal, which we won't say any more about. So a huge cross-section there.
Are you from Kerry, are you?
Not indeed. The other side. A former rebel.
That was the Offaly goal, yeah. Listen, continued success to everybody working in the libraries around Waterford City, County and the South East. Marvellous people. Fair play to you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for all the support from WLR.
Not at all. Mary Carberry, thank you very much. Continued success. Now, thanks everybody for texting in, especially with the Panto competition. We'll have another Panto competition tomorrow. Mary, thank you very much for that. Donal O'Cusack beat me the year that I was in for it. Cork versus Waterford. Thank you, Julie, for producing. We are in Dungarvan tomorrow. An amazing special day in Dungarvan College tomorrow with Dungarvan Credit Union. Don't miss it. It's going to be anybody interested in careers. If you've got your children are in education, you don't want to miss this. That's tomorrow. Stay safe today in the rain. All the very best.